capacities. I can't remember who is what, so I don't want to do an oops here. I honor you all in your capacities. And thank you for giving me permission to be in your space. So we are going to dynamically communicate. Quick question here. How many of you want to have wealth, health, success, prosperity, money, love, happiness? Okay, you're alive. That's what every human being is seeking to have. We all seek to do, to be, and become so that our life is full of good things. And guess what? You can only attain the to be, to do, to have from effective communication. Every minute, every moment, you are communicating, but are you effective? There's a dynamic to being effective. Now, when you hear the word communication, what comes to mind? Just give me your definition of communication. When you hear the idea of the word communication, what comes to mind? Talking, yeah. Why? Because talking is the number one medium that the human being uses to get into contact with another. Of course, there are various ways of which we communicate. We have the verbal, which is talking, or the written word. And we have the non-verbal, body language. You know, you walk up to the counter and having had your bank account zero and all of a sudden it has a 100 million, you walk up to counter number 2 and, you know, you stare at the lady at the counter and she looks at you like, she's already telling you who are you. And then when she checks the zeros on your account, it changes to without saying a word. But of course, the most powerful medium of communication we use is speaking. Now, I'm going to give you my own simple definition of communication because we tend to make it complicated and people think it's something that is way out of reach of them, that it has to be a special person who went to Namasagali, King's College, Budo, Trinity College, or whatever, wherever you studied, Green Acres. No, everybody has the ability to communicate. You just need to know the dynamics. So for me, this is my definition of communication. It is simply the act at any given time to make the idea of you common so that others may join in to your experience, your knowledge, or your space. As simple as that. Because we speak from 3 spheres, or we communicate from 3 spheres. The intimate space, each one of you, I have to go to Italy. That's where the first communication of your idea of who you want to be, do, and have starts from. Then we go to the personal space. Personal space includes those people who are close to us, girlfriend, boyfriend, mommy, daddy, relatives. And then of course it spills over to your working space. It could be personal business, it could be in a government institution, but where you're engaging people who you're not quite close to. And then the public space, to whom it may concern. People you run into the street, just say hi. And so when you want to effectively communicate, there's a dynamic. The word dynamic simply means constant, continuous activity that is changing and is progressing. I don't know about you, but if you listen to my bio, those have been different people in one person communicating at a different time. That's why don't limit yourself to just one formula. So today, I'm just going to share the 3 dynamics because it means it's continuous changing. The 3 dynamics you can have in mind anytime you seek to communicate verbally, either in the spoken word or the written. And those 3 dynamics are status, strategy, and service. I'll start with the first one, which is status. Every time you make common an idea, an experience, or knowledge so that others may come in and join in with you, it is happening from the status you are currently holding. What do I mean by status? Your beliefs, your values, your experiences, your value add. Only you know it, and when you open up and make it simple and known and common, then someone says, yes, I agree with you, I feel you, and guess what you have done? You've created a community. You see, the word communication is an original word from Latin, which means common or gift. I gift you when I let you know what's going on in my life so that you can join me and we can network and I can get to buy the Burberry's Benz, the expensive perfumes, because there's nobody in this world who has become successful on their own. You need a team, you need a community, you need a common union, which comes from communication. And all you have to do is make known the big idea of you in that time. If you ask me right now, what is my status? Last year, I was a bit finicky. I was in transition. But right now, when you find me, the space that I'm occupying is of a woman who is experiencing and engaging all the good in her life that was prepared for her in eternity. I ain't leaving anything behind in making friends, in making money, in traveling, in transforming, in staying youthful and young. I'm doing all that. So when you engage me, that's what I'm going to make common to you. And if you like what you hear and you've understood it, then join me in my community. And that's how I get a network. Then I land on Ashraf, who's selling nice ladies' clothes, and I get to buy the clothes that I want. Because he now knows that this lady likes good things, right? Yes. So you're always speaking from the space you are occupying, values, experience, knowledge. That's what you're making common so that people join you and you have a common understanding in order to network. Which takes me to the second dynamic, which is strategy. You need a strategy because whenever you communicate, you're seeking to be clear, concise, and to connect. And so strategy only has to do with the style and structure you're going to engage so that people buy into you or they will walk away, because every time we communicate, the intention is to get an objective to have a relationship. If it didn't happen, then you missed it. You didn't make the idea common, and as you wanted to make the idea common, you didn't have a strategy. Now we're going to use speech because it's the most commonly used. And I'm just going to give you a few things you can always have in mind when you are setting the strategy. We've started from who am I, what do I have, what do I know? Then you come to why am I here? I'm here to add value to your life, to make you communicate easily with ease. And so when you decide my intention is to give them more information, and I ask myself, how am I going to do it? I have to be careful with the words that I use. My verbal expression is going to be very important. I'm not going to come here and use circumlocucious, barbacious words and leave you lost. I'll keep it simple. We actually, in broadcast, they say kiss it. Keep it silly and simple. You know, when someone is using loud-sounding, circumlocucious words, they have an issue. They are hiding from something. It's an insecurity. So what do they want? They want to put you down. So when they bring bombastic words, you're like, man. But at the end of the conversation, you're like, what the heck did they say? Because all they did was mesmerize you, but they didn't bring you into a common understanding. So you have to have a strategy. Strategy, what choice of words are you going to use? What kind of tone are you going to use? Are you going to tell a story so that you capture and paint a picture when you're done with the speaking, people remember you? Or probably you're going into a situation where fire has been flaring from different parties and you need to resolve the conflict. I use it for the year 2023. Everybody's hot-headed. It means I have to create, first of all, a safe space. The words I'm going to use are cajoling, trying to win over everybody and make it a safe space, so I'm not going to finger point. Carefrontation is a situation where you have a conversation where you agree to agree. No one is wrong. So what do? You start by highlighting each other's best points. Oh, you did this well last year, you did this well last year, this stuff. Then you point out the major negative, not all, just one major negative. So you start by plussing them, and then when you hit the negative, they're still high. It's just one level down. And then you say, okay, guys, we all did this, but we have this problem in front of us, which is causing you to disagree. So you say, what can we do about it? You've made knowledge common, and then you've made the issue common, and you find a way in which you resolve it without saying, I win, you win, I win. No. Carefrontation and not confrontation. Confrontation is all about, you're wrong, I'm right, you're wrong. But here it is, we're all right and we're all wrong, but let's pick one wrong that we can do right. So you strategize the choice of words. If you're going to use visual expressions, maybe you're going to use graphs because images speak louder. It's depending on the intention of your communication. So here today I was just going to use my voice and my tone and choice of words to keep you engaged with me. So strategy is something you should always have under your belt if you want to be effective. If it is a girl that you want to pursue, you're going to use good words, phrasing words. Your tone is going to be on the lower, especially for the gentlemen. Yeah. And us girls, we're gonna sound sweet and soft. That kind of woman they don't want to take out. All right? So have a strategy. Use your words right, use your visual expression right, use your intonation right, knowing who you're engaging with. Which brings me to the third and the last, service. When you're finally delivering the product in speaking. The number one thing you should do is to watch and listen. Watch and listen. I think the Bible tells us watch and pray. Watch and listen. Because we've heard this thing that communication is all about one way. No, when you turn and you realize someone in the corner is falling asleep, pay attention to them, draw them back, because we're seeking to have a common union. And we tend to communicate to people and they're just waiting to reply and not listening to understand. So when you are communicating with people, pay attention to them too. You may have your ideas, like right now I'm scanning around the room in case there's anyone who's up, then I know I'm so boring. Then I need to engage a different gear and get you back, because I'm trying to get you to a common idea with me so that at the end of it all, we have a relationship, because to communicate is to relate, to give and take. Something has to come out of it. I can't go empty-handed, neither can you. So watch and listen. If it's a written communication, read and understand. And when it's time to reply, get something that you read as a justification, as proof to the person you're replying that I understood what you wrote. We all know how we get so many emails and we just go da 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 da. Yeah, yes, and then you said yes to your death sentence. So it is being fully present in whatever you are doing. When you watch and listen, you will read the energy in the room. You will know when people are getting bored. You're not drawing them into your idea. Then you switch in your strategy and say, okay, maybe it's time for storytelling, or maybe it's time for a game. We call them warmers, so that you have actually captured them to the end. And when you're done with speaking, they say, yes, you were present. Yes, you took me into consideration. Yes, you understood who I was all about. I didn't simply talk at you or talk to you, but I talked with you. And that's why you have to engage people when you finally have to deliver the service. And that's why at the beginning I asked you, how many of you want to be healthy, rich, happy, successful, prosperous, with lots of money, and in love? And we all agreed that's where I hooked you from, and that's where I have continued to go with you till the end. So I was told to kiss my presentation. I can't share much here, but I thought that I would share those three dynamics to always have them in mind. So I walk into a room where you've been invited to a wedding, and then they hand you the microphone. The first thing that should go in your head is, who am I? Why am I here? What's the value add? What takeaway should I give them? It's a wedding, so I have to be funny, but also at the same time friendly. And then I have to take in consideration everybody who I'm speaking to, so engage them. So with this point, I will kiss my presentation on how to have dynamic, effective communication, because when you communicate, you want an outcome. If there's no outcome, then it's because you were not effective. They didn't hear you, they didn't understand you, you didn't bring them a common understanding to eventually say yes. Jim Rohn, who was one of the greatest marketers and communicators, said, the purpose or the goal of communication should be to leave the listener, or the reader in this case, saying, yes, me too, and not, so what? So I hope my short kiss presentation that I give it today has not left you saying, so what? At this point, I choose to log out. Thank you very much.